The problem that I know people have is that they fail to understand that our society is a white supremacy society. So we're all under the umbrella of the society. So we're all thinking in the mindset of white supremacists. And it takes an active, conscious effort to not go under the white supremacist mindset rule. And that is difficult. People keep saying that, oh, I'm not a white supremacist, I'm not a racist. And that's enough to just go, oh, you're not a white supremacist, you're not a racist. How? Every time I start a video, my nose. There's no proof, there's no evidence, there's no action to actually back up that claim. What have you done to fight against white supremacy? What have you done to fight against racism? Because there's no inaction. There's never a middleman. There's never, oh, I'm neutral. So being neutral means that I can't be either or. That's not true. There is no neutrality. There's no middleman. There's no zero in racism. It's either you're racist or you're not. And if you do not do an action to fight against racism, then you are complicit in racism. If you do not do an action against white supremacy, you are complicit in white supremacy. That is an action. You are tolerant of white supremacy. So you must do an action to prove that you are against white supremacy, which most people aren't willing to do. Even it's not an action to say, hey, this is white supremacy in a small way, like let's say, oh, we got a really, really dumb guy, let's say, who does something extremely blatantly racist, and we lock him up. Yay, we're all against racism. What did you do? You just agreed that it was good to lock him up? There's plenty of reasons to lock him up. Even if he wasn't racist, like he was dangerous. He assaulted just a human being, citizens. If he took a gun trying to shoot black people and he shot a hospital and maybe across the street, we can all figure out that person needs to be locked up. Doesn't matter what their beliefs. Tacking on that they were racist and making it the highlight is not defeating racism. It is blowing up an already litany of problems and coining it, oh, that was the big one. That was the major one. And since we defeated it, we defeated all of racism. We all agreed. Going after the fringes is not something that's impressive. It's easy to go after the fringes. It is incredibly simple to do. And because it's going after the fringes and deciding, oh, we've defeated racism, people tend to stop there at the entry level. That was the easy one. Now, when you start going and finding a trail like, oh, this is more complex. How do you convince the majority of people this is racism? If this is coined racist, how do you understand it to be so? If everything is under the realm of white supremacy, if everything has a blood and tinge of racism and white supremacy, how does it manifest so? Sometimes you can't see it with the naked eye. You need a microscope. You need to go deeper and understand it more complex. But people often don't do so. So they are a complicit, an average racist, a white supremacist that completely agree, like that doesn't completely agree, but agrees nonetheless. A complete agreement, absolute or even passive agreement, is still agreement. Doesn't make you any less racist. Oh, I'm racist because I'm trying to get clickbaits and views to make my YouTube channel. It doesn't matter why you're using racism. That makes you a racist nonetheless. I'm not gonna sit there and play semantics. It's not like we don't have ways to progress in systems in society. Like, plenty of people understand the issues in, I would say, modern day voting, at least in the States. We there's our alternative voting system. There are other voting systems. Why it's still in place isn't because like the people up top are dumb, but because they're corrupt, because they are knowledgeable that um, it benefits them. And it's not that the people are blind and can't see what's going on. They realize that it's like if you start going with other alternative voting systems and things get better, people who you were oppressing start living better too. And people start wanting their things back. And people want to take those things back because they're there. They're theirs. See, I'm not dumb. I know when I can't, when I have my hands full, if I'm preoccupied. I wasn't just like born like, oh, okay, let me get all the things at once. I said, let me take what I need right now, come back. If there's still more, I'll do it. And that should buy my time until I eventually die. But if someone stole my things at birth and said, this is how much you have, and this is how much um, that I'm going to give you, and then eventually I handle all of the things or all the problems that were given, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I don't think that this is. I don't think that this is naturally what I have. I don't think that this is all that it is. You start kind of looking for stuff. Even if you don't know that someone stole it, something's off. Even if I'm not doing it in a malicious way, I'm seeking for that stuff that that isn't there. And when I find, I think you have your hands full. I think you're, and they're like, no, no, no. It's you don't understand. It's too complex for you to understand. Is it? All right, I guess it's too complex for me to understand. And then if anyone ever gives up just a little bit and you solve it and you do it efficiently and you do it good, people start to recognize like, why are they so good at this? Maybe, maybe it wasn't theirs to begin with. And so what ultimately happens is the opposite effect, where someone gives too much. They're like, oh well, since you know everything, I'm gonna give you this and this and this and this. I'm gonna give you theirs, and it's like you got all this on your plate, and now you're good at it, but in comparison, you have so much that you're like, I'm doing all this, and the pile doesn't feel like it's dropping. In fact, I think it's becoming bigger. You start to realize that you're building on the backs of people. Now you're promising you're making a business off the backs of somebody's talent and skill to produce this labor, which is enslavement. And you get multiple people to do that. And now your work is done, and your friends' work are done, and you basically paid yourself with promises, and you could just drop the like, even if the enslaved people do not produce, you build so many promises and legacies and platforms that you can just arm yourself and you can say, well, I know I'm not going to deliver my promises, but I have a gun and I will kill all of you. And that's enough incentive for people to just be like, yeah, get back to work, slaves. Yeah, or else they'll shoot me and you're going to die before I die. And it's like, because that's the system that wants. Someone's going to pay. But as enslaved people start to die, or they stop being enslaved, as they stop being oppressed, as people have more time on their hands, as people want to do things, because people aren't lazy, they want to do things. And they're saying, you know what, it's faster, easier, and cheaper for me to just do these things myself. And those things happen. Well, wow, hey, not only did we do this efficiently, we got this thing done, and now that we all kind of got our hands, free of all of these problems, time to reminisce. Ah, man, remember that time we made this one guy do the work of like 20 while we all stood around and did nothing? Why did we do that? Oh yeah, this guy threatened us with a gun. Well, now that we all have guns, and we remember what they did, and now that we have the technology and armor and judicial system to hold them accountable. Um, yeah, let's put that guy in jail and take those resources back, or just remind people not to do that again, and expose their legacy as bad, so we can make sure that doesn't happen again. Oh no. And then you start to see like a list down the line of who had their hands in what. No one's dumb here. That's the first coin of society. No one's dumb here. Everything is intentional. Like I I try to just make it clear, like, hey, even if nothing is done by what I'm saying, even if no one else cares, I do it because it is right for me to do. It makes me happy to be free. If I was going to die regardless. Under white supremacy, I would have never been more than a chump. I would be a slightly more comfortable chump, but a chump nonetheless. I would rather be the worst angel than the greatest devil. There's nothing in this world that that would promise me a good life other than striving for a good life. Being a general, being a commander, like that's like being a commander or officer in Hitler's ranks. A legacy tarnished. Like you couldn't even speak of it with pride. Like no one in your ancestry could really say like a respectable would even speak about it in heavy pride. If they do, they're on that weirdo behavior because what are they proud about? Even those that try to balance it out and make it sound correct, and you press about it too much, and like, yeah, everyone should be proud of his military grandfather, even if he did do that in Hitler's reign. It didn't just back off and not do that and just choose to die like a decent person probably would if he knew he was going to slaughter millions. And at any point when he was privy to anything that was going on, he doubled down and kept doing it because that's all right for a military man to, you know, keep doing unethical orders because everyone around them is doing unethical orders. No, there was no way he understood the gravity of the situation ever. He wasn't an intelligent man. He was a soldier that just followed orders. But no, we shouldn't be proud of that. Oh, no one is. No one should be proud of that. That was actually like a very clear slap in the face of like, that's what loyalty to blood, to legacy gets you. White supremacy is conservatism. White supremacy is legacy. And legacy like that continues to go because people are proud of it. They're proud of it. They're happy that it happened. They are benefiting off of what had happened. And that's why I despise legacy. That my own legacy is the only thing that I care about. But if a legacy of a dynasty, there will always be a few inbred. There will always be a weak chain, a weak link in the chain. And I cannot rely on that. I cannot trust that. Especially a very long chain will make me very aware that if anything goes wrong, that could be the downfall. Like using a very, 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 very long extension cord. The reason why we don't just have one continuous stream is if anything fails, we'd have to either replace the whole thing at once, or we couldn't tell where it came from. We couldn't solve what the problem is. If someone does something dumb or a mistake, because it's not usually malice. It's just something happened, which is like all the time. and no one understood the gravity of what they did, then and it goes unchecked, everyone's liable. Like making your entire city out of wood and using lamps to light everything. It's not a if there's going to be a fire, it's just when. It's like you really expect everyone to just, with children, with the elderly, with disabled people, with drunk people, you think nothing's going to go wrong? No, it's always a recipe of disaster. It's trying to prevent it and lower the problems, but it still exists. Legacy, though, legacy has been shown with pride, and I think that's really what I'm trying to indicate. Why are you so proud? What are you proud about? Like people are fighting and marching in the streets about being proud, but what is it? And it's because we don't have any ethics or morality to bounce it off of. Because people are in power and refuse to relinquish power, that there's no time to reflect to a greater time. A dynasty of incest and greed and lust and power and destruction, and it spans. So if we're praising destroying more, then yes, it is the greatest dynasty to do so. This is the greatest time. If you marker diversity as weakness, as feminine, and you say feminine is bad, then yes, you could say that this is the most masculine. It's people defining things, and yeah, and if we go by that definition, correct, but defining nothing else. If you're going to define one, define it all. But one cannot. There will be times where not. You could tell, and this is the most pivotal part of any person who demands to define things. It is not simply just what they define. It is what they choose not to define that shows the weakness of the ruler. For someone will say, I defined this and this and this and this. I defined a million things. I said this is good and this is bad. But then you'll come across an item and you'll say, can you define this? And they'll say, I don't care about that. That doesn't matter. And at that very moment, that is where their weakness shows. Because they refused to define it, they had agreed that they were not God. For God defines everything. And how you somehow didn't realize how important and yet how minuscule it is. It is the backbone of your nation, and yet you choose not to define it, good or bad, and you will always define it. If it's useless, if you refuse to define it, then it is bad. It is useless then. So let's get rid of it. It is useless. And then when things stop working because it is not there, well, then you don't get to define it then. And I'll say, why did you choose to define it then? You said it wasn't worth defining, so now it's definable? What made it definable? Oh, it defined you. If you do not define something, it defines you. But a man cannot define everything that he does not know. He cannot decipher and figure it out. Eventually, you sit there and you have to ask yourself, what is this? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to the greater world? It humbles you. It takes time to sit down and understand it, its complexities. Because there are times where it's like, why is this small thing so important to so many? A seed. What does a seed have to do with the world? Why can it crumble economies, and why can it grow societies? A banana farm, or beetroot, ginger. So many things that we take for granted are so strong. I don't sit there and deny power. I say that it's not my job to grow strong enough to then force people to understand. It is my job to understand myself and and to live. But I'm here waiting for people to relinquish power so I may grab it, take it, to hold it in my hands, and then to relinquish it. I will show a strength that others do not by picking something up and then letting it go. That is power. I choose to pick it up, to use it when I need to, and to use just enough, and then to let it go when I no longer need it. If someone else takes it, then they take it. I'll get more. I don't worry about thieves because I know that I will always find a way to get enough. As long as it exists in this world, I will have it. But others that are scared of its scarcity, those that fear not having it, tend to be the ones that make the world more scarce. They cling to it. And instead of planting it, instead of producing more of it, they spam it or put it in a chokehold. And some will plant more, like this legacy. They want to breed more children. They want to have more children in the world to follow this legacy. And then you get these basically the clone cows, the McDonald clone cows, where their children and offspring are weak. I'm going to be honest. When I sit in classrooms and I say this is what chattel slavery and indentured servitude and all of this was for, I hear more ums and ahs and just like indifference. I genuinely ask, do these children want to be here? Is there something else that they would want? Like, I guarantee if I offered them $1 million right now to drop out of school, would they do so? And I feel like they would. They don't value the education. And why would you give education to those that don't value it? It's not to just about those that could never value it, because if one will value it, or when they come to understand it more, then we'll put value to it. Because you can always tell when someone simply is just not aware of what this does. So they might come off indifferent in the beginning, but that's because they're not aware of who this person or what this thing is. There are people who are fully aware of what these actions, what their status, what their position holds, what it entails, and they just don't care. They simply just, it's ineffective to their day-to-day goal. Like, yes, I have a job and career. They're more interested in the status. Some do not care about justice or law or equality or making the world a better place. It's a byproduct. They like the name and title of lawyer. They like to tie a suit and wear a dress and wear the heels and put on the makeup and play house and say, I'm home from work. I am a doctor. Yes. Saving lives is just the requirement. That is what I see with this legacy of whiteness. So many people hung up with titles and a value to make them seem better than they are. The value of the purse seems more wealthy than what's actually going on in their mind. Like, I'm facing homelessness every day. Whether I'm in a safer position or not, it doesn't change the bracket that I'm in. Even if I'm on the fringes, close to making it to security, I can never do so. Or it takes one bad day or one move that is miscalculated or just someone else's whim, indifference. I don't feel like doing that today. Here's the cutoff. I'm the cutoff. When that just doing one more would have made the difference between me going into security and me falling into the worst depths of poverty. You have people that don't care. And I have to sit there and recognize that, yeah, this is because of white supremacy. And it goes again in a cycle. Not some aggressive malice. Malice is there, but it's just indifference. And I don't know what else to do. And I know what else to do. Nothing. It's not my job to do. It's my job to speak it, to say, hey, it's been said, and it's been inconveniently done, and it's. But I'm not going to make videos that are enticing or cool or funny, and show clips and show things like ha 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 to turn it into a joke, because all of this is any time the truth is said, I have to make it entertaining or make it in a joke format. I have to make it into a movie. I have to make it into poems and polished movies and clips and essays and write dissertations, and it doesn't do anything. Because like the simplest way is just me talking to people to say, yeah, this is the problem. And doing anything else allows everyone else to critique everything else but what I actually said. They would sit there and say the movie is not that great, or he's in this for the money, or he has some sort of incentive, everything about. But if I'm here face to face, risking my life, my name, putting this out on a platform that doesn't care for me, that doesn't want me here, eventually you just kind of hit the line of there's not that much in there for him. Sure, maybe there's one or two benefits, but there's not that much. And at the end of the day, the love of the game, that's what keeps me here. That heart, that truth, me. Like I will be the lone fighter fighting against white supremacy till the day I die. I'll be a good man till the day I die, because like I'm knowing that as long as I put conscious effort towards it, then it is something to be done. And I'm aware that how people fought in the past, some were fighting themselves, some were fighting other issues and trying to jump into these things because they were afraid to handle the actual truth. Sometimes the hardest fights are eating until you're full while you know someone's outside starving, but you know you can't do anything for them. Sometimes the worst thing is listening to someone die in the gas chambers and you lined up to be the next one, and then hearing the allies come and being rescued. Sometimes that's a hard battle, surviving. Because you survived that, but now you have to survive the guilt and the shame and the anger and placing that on the right people and the right names and seeing how it could happen. And recognizing why it's so difficult. It's easy for people to say, like, I don't go with the easy. It's easy to say, it's not your fault. I can agree it's not my fault on a lot of things, but I'm still facing the consequences. And I don't want to face the consequences anymore of action that I did not cause. So it's my duty to say, here you go. This is yours. This is your work. You do it. I'm going to take a nap. And someone's going to sit there. He's lazy. He's insubordinate. He doesn't care. You know how many people call me lazy? There are so many people that are in my context right now that don't like me. That don't care for me. That don't understand me. There are going to be people that always talk bad about me. And it's not me to compare my life to theirs. It's not me to say, oh, their life sucks in comparison to mine. It's me doing my best. It's me doing what I think is best. That's a hard thing to do, and I'm willing to do it. Because like I aim for what I think is hard, and I try to tackle that before I ever go after what is easy, what is simple. You know, I it is not easy saying, hey, white supremacy. There's a lot of white supremacists. That the majority of the Americas, a majority of Western countries, no, all of the Western countries are white supremacy countries. They are racist. They are built on that. It's difficult to say that, yeah, a majority of people, 99.9%, are racist, born in a racist society, born to ideologies and the education systems, and until they prove otherwise, they are guilty until proven innocent. That is a difficult thing to say because it makes people angry, makes them mad, it makes everyone point at you and say, you're saying this about me and you're saying this about me, and it's like a hit dog hollers. It's hard to write books for people who don't want to read. It's hard to sit down and make a kid sit down and go into a classroom and tell them, hey, read this book, do your ABCs, write your name, eat your vegetables. I have to sun people. Not because I hate them, because discipline is hard. It's hard to discipline people. It's hard to do what's right for people, because like they will call you an enemy in the beginning. As any son looks at their father and they have this anger. They're like, this person tells me what to do. This person punishes me. This person tells me to go here and win and that. And they one day all that builds up and they say, I'm not going to take it anymore. And you know what they do? Give me this. I'm going to do this. And you're not going to tell me what to do. And they're going to do it themselves. And they're going to do it right. And then they're going to go, ha, ha, ha. See, I did it. I didn't even need you to tell me to do it. And I did it better than you. And after that day, you know what you're going to see? A tired old man. And also you're going to see a child that's laughing. You're going to see a mischievous grin and tears well up in his face as he remembers how his father had tricked him like that. You're going to see a jokester. You're going to see the oldest joke in the book. A child is going to look up at a man one more time. Because that's what it is. Like the big joke of passing down the torch, a little bit of juvenile fun, and the circle of life. And you're gonna understand as you take that stick, as you hold the torch, and it's your job to do that again. This time, it just took a little longer for the stick to reach this generation, to the right people. And God, I'm holding this torch. And I'm passing it down. And I'm proud of myself for understanding that. I still got so much more to go, but at least that I can give. At least that I'm tired. I'm tired of lying to myself and grieving to myself and saying I feel, so bad, and self-pity and shame. I'm like, you know what, I did what I did. I learned from it. I can grow from it. I can do better. Now it's my turn to tell people it's okay. You could do it too. You could do it too. It's gonna take a little bit more time, sure. I can't tell you when it's done. You're just gonna have to figure that out yourself, but it could be done. What I'm doing is telling kids that anything's possible. And the kids go, no, it's not. No, it's not. You can't jump over buildings. You can't fly. You can't do this. So you can't do anything. It's like, find out what you can do. Hey, if you believe you could do it, then do everything in your power to get it done. What would it feel like jumping over a building? What would it feel like dunking a basketball? What would it feel like to fly? Do it in the small sense and then try to recreate it so it's more powerful. If it takes 10 years, well, then do it 10 years. But there's this instant gratification where it's like, no, it can't be done because it can't be done now. Doesn't mean it can't be done ever. It might not be something that you get to experience right off the bat. Hey, but you got close. Is these dreams they fill the classrooms. More and more stuff gets done, and there's this feeling of like, wow, there's not a lot left to do. Do the rest then. If you say, what does it feel like to fly? Oh, we already have airplanes. Then learn how it feels to fly in space. Ask yourself, what does that feel? If you say, well, we have airplanes here, then put airplanes on Mars. See how that works. There's always going to be someone needing to assign something to figure out how this works when there's a completely new landscape and territory. If you can't think about the Earth, good. Think about Mars, think about Venus, think about Uranus, think about how you're going to get gas. Maybe if we have gas shortages, maybe we go to Uranus and suck up all the gas, maybe a long hose or maybe something, I don't know. Figure it out. If you say that's difficult and hard, terraform the Earth again. Figure that out. Maybe figuring one out makes it easier to figure something else out. We have the time to think, and we can. The only person putting pressure on us is ourselves. If the pressure is too much, then stop. White supremacy can only be defeated by white people. It is not the job of the black man or any race to defeat white supremacy. It cannot be defeated because it's something internal. If you do not, now I am a white man, as I have the genes and biology and the blood of the white man coursing through my veins. I'm no stranger to the problem because that's who you would ask. When you ask me about white supremacy, why do I know it? Because I myself have white blood. But no, that's not true. My skin is dark. What do you think what do you think the DNA, what do you think the issues and the troubles when we laugh at a joke, both you and I know it doesn't matter where I was at the event, whether a comet had fell down on the plantation and while I was getting whipped and while you were whipping, we both saw the comet fall. If we both speak about it and we both recognize the situation at hand, we both look at each other, you acknowledge me as human and as I acknowledged you, as we both recognized ourselves as two beings that had saw something and we could not explain it, or maybe we did understand. You would hold my life in importance as I would hold your life as important. For I could not kill you, for we are both two witnesses to an event. We both make sure that our minds are both sane. You cannot kill your witness to mystical events, for if you do, you had damned yourself to madness, for you will never quite be sure if it happened. People, you might ask, why do you treat this one more special than the other? You might lie to everyone and even yourself. Oh, I keep him around. And you might not say the event. but you will damn yourself to madness still. Or you'll say, I'll keep this one around because it had witnessed the comet falling. It had witnessed something magical. But if you do so, then you say, so how do you know that it's not a being? It doesn't think. A table doesn't think. A table didn't witness it. Did the whip that was in your hand witness the comet falling? It's because when you sit there and look at the reality that this whip is an object, but that person that you are whipping is a person, well then you you can't even speak about it. Yes, me and this man, this person that I am beating had witnessed something magical. And it's more important for me to view this magical moment and speak about it to my friends and family, people that I'm close with, and now this person had become close with me. It's important for us to both retell the tale. No. But if you stay stubborn and say, I will not acknowledge this being, this human being as a human being, I will not acknowledge this humanity, and he had saw nothing, so I had saw nothing. So you will grow more and more dull and blank and in madness, and you will just hit and hit and hit and hit because there will be nothing. You can't notice anything. You can't pay attention to anything because it doesn't matter. If you saw something magical, it would always be less because it doesn't matter if you saw a second meteor, just as beautiful as the first, maybe even more. But you would not ooh and ah as your family did. Say, hey, there's a meteor. You would not even acknowledge that there's a problem. Like, did two meteors drop at the same time? No, you will say, yeah, all right, okay. Because A, you wouldn't experience it for the first time because you've already experienced it with someone. And B, you wouldn't care because like acknowledging that or someone else coining and taking the first prize, I'm the first one to witness this, I get credit, when you could have been the person who got the credit, the person that had discovered this. And then to hear someone lie about, yes, I think I saw the first one this one time, yes, another man had told me, and you realize the other man that they are speaking about is the being that is enslaved. It is a chair that had told them about the first comet. But they said this is a person, but if you call them out, then you would be acknowledging, you would be co-signing that this is a person. They said the friend. They had given this person humanity. Even lying about it, or because a lie has truth. They might have said friend, but they could have meant person. They clearly acknowledge being that breathes, that's able to talk, that's able to communicate with it, that's able to share humanity. So calling it friend, regardless if truly believing friend or not, still means human. And human means that this being that you were beating and whipping had told another, and the bond that you guys could have shared, well, now they went off and told someone else. And now this person's getting the credit. This person's living the life that you could have lived. This person had acknowledged this person's humanity and got rewarded. Even if they are a worse enslaver than you, even if they beat them harder, even if they killed them slower, all they needed to do was acknowledge another being's humanity to get what you did not want to do. You had the easier task. You, the white liberal, you, the Democratic supporter, you, the revolutionary, the protester. All you had to do was acknowledge that you had beat this man, and this man and you had witnessed the same event, whether it be beautiful, whether it be tragic, whether it be anything. All you had to do is acknowledge this being's humanity, and you had chose not to. You had chose to instead dive down deeper into your delusions, and you got exactly what you wanted. And now, this person who is more ruthless, more uh, uh, insensitive, more brutal, that would beat not only you but everyone else, that will beat the enslaved people and steal money out of your pockets, your family pockets, and your kids praise this man, not because they uh, they wouldn't praise you, but you had opted not to reveal the comment. You had opted not to view this person's understanding. So they chose the person who revealed the truth, the event. And you tell them, no, I knew the event first. And they say, sure you did. At first, they pass it off. They see that you're trying to gain the credit, but only after it's revealed. You are a narcissist. You are egotistical. That's why you wanted it. But instead of following to your destiny and being that and getting the praise and getting the credit, you would rather keep this person's humanity hidden, because then it exposes what you have done, what you've been doing, why you're doing this. It would make peace. It would make things better. And it would reveal that you're not such a great person after all. You want to be coined as a great person. You're willing to do everything and anything to do this madness. And at the yes, it kept the enslaved people enslaved. You got exactly what you wanted. Now you despise your kids, you despise your wife, you despise everyone because you know the truth. Out of a million lies that you had told, the one truth that you really did have is useless. And even if you reveal to this black person, hey, tell them the truth. They may become knowledgeable and know, why tell them? You didn't care to speak of me as a friend or a human otherwise. Tell them or I'll kill you. They say, fine, I'll tell them. He saw it first. They'll say, why are you beating these slaves and forcing them to say lies of grandeur about you? It's like, it's not a lie. You didn't care about these slaves then. Why do you care about these slaves now? Because this is no ordinary slave. What makes this slave different? What makes this table different than any other table? Because this table speaks. This table can talk. Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Do the thing. Do the thing. You're looking mad because you are mad. You're mad, but you're also crazy. You're insane. Because why would you do both? One day this person's a human being, the next day that this person's not. Tomorrow this thing is a quarter a thing, and in a week. What is this person? What is this being? What is this figure that you so demand? You, God, the Almighty? You get to make and break humanity yourself? And your children will have no choice but to despise you. Those that believe you will never truly believe you. If they follow you because you are their father. They will not follow you because they believe you. If it was anyone else, they would not believe. They would even mock and scorn that they learn from your legacy. You were born a hypocrite, you die a hypocrite. The child that you would most agree with, that would agree with you, that despises you the most, your legacy gone. Those that follow you, you don't even like. You don't want them to follow you. But you take what you can get. You get the life that you deserve. My job, even out of this, I have only spoken about the enslaver. But I never really speak about that black man who still is enslaved, who still gets beat, who got beat by multiple white people, who still was under the shackles, and yet the paying attention of all of this tale was always with the white faces, white supremacy, white voices. And it says if white people got their shit together, I would not have been beat. I could live my life. I could have avoided even seeing this comment. Or maybe I would have saw it from where I was at. I don't know what my life would be. Wish I could have lived it. But pity the white man again. Boo-hoo. And then the cycle continues. It is the white man needing to be the center of attention. The white issues, the white problems. And it gets that. And the uglier and uglier and uglier it gets. And then when finally we get to tell stories in a black lens, at first it's the sadness and sadness and sadness. And then once that gets boring, we say there are other stories that black people could say. Then we do black triumph. Then we do black rejoice. And then we do black romance. And then we do black anger. Oh, black anger. Why are they angry? What are we angry about? Okay, you can have anger only in this time period. But I'm angry now. No. Push it and enforce it and make it only in this time. Structure it around this. Okay. And as we get closer in shaping and forming the forms of our anger and how it looks and how it reflects, people decide, hey, no. You can only make monsters. You can only make fiction. You can only make aliens and demons and... All right. But as it still takes shape, as it looks, as the creative juices become lazier and lazier, it's easier to say a face, hair of brown or gold or whatever you want to say. Eyes of blue and green. You might change the eyes to be an alien green, but so is the skin. So it's different. Or you might have blue lights that symbolize it to also symbolize the eyes. Or you could say these are the othered white men. These are the Nazis, and these are the, okay, we can't speak about the Klan just yet. Or maybe we can, but they have to be the most egregious and flanderized. But when that starts to become dull and boring and unachievable, because it's not going to paint a good story if this thing is so blatantly, it's not a person, it's the racist, it's a guy in a pointed white hood, it's Patrick Star painted white, dumb and just boring. But when someone is clever and human and you can recognize it and you say, why does it feel like it calls to me? Why does it feel like it's calling my name? Because it is you. That is who we're calling out. That is who we're talking about. Oh no, self-reflection. White supremacy. It's like, then you have to hear college kids talk about like how deep things are and how boring they are. They need to quote other men, can never form their own ideas. So it's so boring in those places. It's interesting sometimes, but boring. Because it's like, I need rest. I need rest to, be able to stomach it. But I feel like I never get quite enough energy to overcome the the madness. And I sit there with these white college kids, it's just, I know that they're people and their names and faces, but it's hard to kind of remember that whenever I'm just like, man, I see some of them are going to be homeless because they believe fully in the system, and the system doesn't care about them. And they think that being a PhD student is going to save them from some homelessness. And they think that that getting a college degree is going to look great on a resume when they really just need skilled workers. And if you haven't ever lifted up a tool in your life, why now? Why would they say, did you even have any inkling or want or desire to lift up these tools? And they demand and teach people revolution. They say, oh man, I realize that my skills aren't working. So we need to get the masses, get the working class to overthrow the main parties, and then we replace them. It's ingenious. No one has ever thought about this before. We need a revolution to flip the board, and then we'll pick up the pieces, and then we'll be there. And the cycle continues. Ooh. And when people don't want to play your game anymore, when your speeches don't exude any power or passion, you go to the name calling. You go into, you are cowards. Do you not see these causes, these children dying? I demand that you do something now. It's like, do you care about these children? Do you care anything about these children? Here are the names of the children. I will read the names, thousands, thousands. Okay, you read names of those, but do you read the names of the victims that you have caused? Do you read the names of children that you have helped slaughter? The people that you were indifferent from, the people that were angry enough to rise and devise violence against you, but that was not okay. That was not tolerant. You want me to march right next to you, but the next day you will allow them to hang me upon the tree. You will not throw yourself at their mercy. You would not take my spot if offered. You are not a man of honor. Because you know that I have a different level of justice. And it's like, you don't cry when you eat. When I'm outside the door, it is not that you really mourn or tried your best or understood the situation, really thought yourself the best fitting. You were just grateful that I was outside the door so you can feast on this meal by yourself when you could have easily opened the door. The difference between you and I is that if I close the door behind me, it is because I simply can't let you in. There's nothing else. We would both die. I had made a decision and I understood that I was not killing you. That this was the end of your story. I know you didn't like it, but if I close the door, I expect you to be an honorable man and realize that it's not me killing you. But if you curse me with your last breath, then you are cursing the only friend that you had in this world. A man that knows, an honorable man will never close a door in his face without something being chasing him, something affecting him. I don't need you to know exactly why I'm closing the door for you to accept that I'm closing the door for a good reason. You should be honorable enough to sit down at the door without banging at it. And maybe if you turn around, you would see what I saw coming after you and realizing, yeah, he did not have enough time to let me in. If that got through, we would both be decimated. But the truth is, you didn't care. You would have compromised us all in order to live. Because that's really how most white supremacists are. No, all cowards. Cowards believing in othering anyone else. Because unless you are willing to prove that you are not a white supremacist, then you are a white supremacist. As well as you're not willing to prove that you are not a racist, that you're not willing to prove that you are not a sexist. And you don't have to prove it to a council, to a board. You prove it to yourself. You prove it to yourself because you think about what makes a racist, what makes a white supremacist. And you ask yourself, have I done those things? Am I guilty of those things? And when you don't feel guilty about it, You move on. You realize you may even have a smile. It'll affect you, but maybe not in the way that you would think. Yes, when you are happy, when you know that you are not guilty, there's a sense of relief, checking of the body. When a shot is fired, you check your own body because you have to make sure that you are not hit. And when you are not, you don't sit there and go, yes, I am not hit. Oh, yes, I am not hit. I am not hit. So someone will come to you and fire upon you again. You sigh, a breath of relief. You stay happy. You stay silent. You get out of that situation and you retell the tale. And you say, why are you so happy? You're so happy you didn't get shot? Yes. For they were aiming for someone. And the guy said, I was aiming for racists that I know that are racist. Bam, bam, bam. I saw this general that knew about racism, knew who had affected him, who knew that had harmed his family. I had suspected maybe it was I thought about it and said, did I have a part to play? And I knew that I was not there. I did not partake in those events. And he knew and I knew that I didn't partake, so he didn't shoot me. I had nothing to worry about. I knew that I did not associate with those men, so it could never be confused. I didn't have to question his intelligence. I knew that there was nothing linking me towards it. There was no point. I knew that he only had so many bullets, so many rounds, and why would he do such a risky play, such danger, and then hit someone who wasn't even a part of it? I knew he was a smart man. I knew he was a calculated man. I knew his voice had certainty and confidence, for I knew it of myself. Still, yes, I feared. Of course I feared. For every human encounters a point where they are facing the barrel of death. It brushes by us every single day. But it's okay to fear, but not to be overwhelmed by it. When it comes to the test, there's anxiety, but to overcome that anxiety. For every man who makes a speech is a bit anxious, especially how it comes off, the wording and do they stutter. But at the end of the speech, when they hear the applause, there's a sigh of relief. The bullet did not hit me. Cheers erupt, clapping. All of this to be said. With that being said, I am done.